On this episode of Local Film Talk, we're chatting with director Christopher Everett about his feature-length documentary, Wilmington On Fire. To watch it, subscribe to the Local Film Talk YouTube channel, and if you don't have time to watch it, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Let's get started, folks. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Local Film Talk. This is the show where we talk to local filmmakers here in North Carolina about the projects they're working on, hopefully get some tips and advice that you can use in your own projects. I'm Bob Walters.
And I'm Conrad Arnold with Triangle Film Community. And today we're speaking with Christopher Everett, the filmmaker behind the documentary Wilmington on Fire.
We also have a special guest host. We have Josie. She pops up every now and then when she's being too loud and needs attention. So she's going to sit here and be quiet for a couple minutes. She does not appear in the actual interview, but you guys can get your dachshund fix for the next couple minutes.
She did backseat direct the interview, though.
Yeah. She just kind of sat there and gave me notes. It was actually really annoying. She's such a diva.
She piddled.
So what we got coming up, man?
First up, this very week is the Full Frame Documentary Festival, starting on the 7th. So later this month, on the 21st, we are having a Triangle Film Community Networking Night. That's going to be at 7 o'clock. It's a Thursday, again, April 21st, and that will be at Rally Point in Cary, which is right off the Harrison Avenue exit on I-40, right by the Bass and Pro Shop.
So if you want to chit chat with some other filmmakers in the area, see what people are working on, that's the place to do it.
That is the place to do it. We actually get together and talk shop.
Talk about making movies. We're not going to sit around and talk about why Batman versus Superman sucked. We're going to talk about making good movies.
Yes, we're talking about making movies better than Batman versus Superman.
Absolutely. Well, we have to set the bar low, because we're indie. And third up on our docket is the Eastern North Carolina Film Festival coming April 30th.
I'm glad to say that I got to be a judge for that, and it was a wonderful honor to be able to see all the films that had come in and were accepted into the festival. A lot of good work in there, a lot of solid work, including the two posters behind you.
Yes, absolutely. We have to, as always, we have to take a minute to thank our sponsors, our official Local Film Talk sponsors. We have director Nick Beery, who gave us a poster for his latest short film, My Dumb Face, which is a fantastic little 23-minute short film that he shot right here in Carborough, North Carolina. And that, of course, will be screening at the Eastern North Carolina Film Festival. And then, of course, we have over on my other shoulder, can't tell if it's right or left on the screen. It's reversed for me. But we have the poster for, it's what?
It's on the left side of the screen over your right shoulder.
Okay. Over here, we have the poster for Where We're Meant to Be, the feature film. I always want to say debut feature film. It's actually the second feature film from our buddy Mike Howard. Debuted, what was it, 2 weeks ago now at the Cary Theater?
On the 20th. Just a week ago.
Just a week ago. That's right. Oh, man, the days just fly by. But it got a great reception there, and it was an awesome little film.
Mm-hmm. We played it to almost packed house over there.
Mm-hmm. And if you were not part of that lucky crowd, you can go to the Eastern North Carolina Film Festival and check the film out there. If you first come to the meetup, there's a good chance you will meet a ton of people who are involved in making that movie. Actually, probably a lot of people involved in making this one, too, because both awesome locally produced films that involved a lot of cool people, a lot of local guys who come out to a lot of these meetups. So you can go and meet all these folks and then go see the movie they worked on.
Yes. Also, since we're talking about local films, another official selection for Eastern North Carolina is Evan Kidd's Son of Clowns, which we just premiered at the Cary Theater last night.
Yes, big shout out to Evan Kidd.
That did really well.
Mm-hmm. And it was an awesome movie, too. Did you like it?
I liked it. I was really happy we were able to get a lot of people out there on a Sunday night. People who were like, well, it's my dinner finale, but you know what? Local film is more important. So
Yeah. Yeah, you had to skip the Walking Dead finale in order to see that one, but a lot of people did it, and it wasn't, there were a lot of friends, family, cast and crew, that kind of thing, but there were also other filmmakers in the community that were there. There was general public there, like a lot of people who didn't have to came out to check out the movie, which is really what it's all about. It's not just about showing movies to your friends; it's about showing them to the public. So, congratulations to Evan on making an awesome movie. And also congratulations on a successful screening.
Well, there's a lot of people here who are hungry for the local films, man, and they're just delighted when we can get them out there for them to see.
So keep an eye on the Triangle Film Community website. Be sure to check that out for information about what's coming up, because we got lots of cool stuff on the way. So without any further ado, let's get to our conversation with director Chris Everett. He made a feature film about the, what would you call it? It's Race Riot seems like too small a name for it.
Race Riot is really putting it lightly. As they said in the documentary, it is the only successful coup d'etat to happen on American soil.
1898 in Wilmington, and he put together a feature-length documentary on the thing. One of his big inspirations, he said, was Ken Burns, and it definitely comes across in the film. So if you're a fan of those kinds of historical documentaries, I definitely recommend checking this out. Or if you're just into historical films in general, this is a great one. And it was a great interview. He had a lot of great tips and tricks for, getting great people together to work on a film, and also some neat tips for getting out there and marketing it. So I think everybody will enjoy it. So without any further ado, let's move on to our conversation with director Chris Everett. Enjoy. Go ahead, for people out there, go ahead and give them the elevator pitch of what the film is about.
Well, Wilmington On Fire is a feature-length documentary about the 1898 Wilmington massacre that happened on November 10th, 1898 in Wilmington, North Carolina. It is considered one of the only successful coup d'etats that has ever happened on American soil. And it pretty much was the springboard to the whole Jim Crow era. This is one of the main reasons why we had Jim Crow segregation throughout North Carolina. It was as a result of this event. So this event really isn't just something that's important for North Carolina history, but also American history as well.
Right, and it's pretty wild, some of the stuff you get into in the documentary. It's kind of nuts what people got away with, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're from Wilmington originally, right?
No, I'm not from Wilmington at all, man. I'm from a small town called Laurinburg, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people probably don't know where the hell that is, but
I certainly don't.
Yeah, it's probably about 40 minutes from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Fort Bragg, that whole area. But yeah, man, I was just born and raised in a small town, Laurinburg, North Carolina, and I moved to Charlotte to go to college with the King's College for graphic design. And after that, stayed in Charlotte for a while, moved to Atlanta, and just kind of got an interest in film. And while I was in Atlanta, I just started doing like a lot of internships and doing some things here and there, student projects and so forth. And then I moved back to North Carolina and just decided to try to start my own film production company and start doing the projects that I wanted to do. So Wilmington On Fire became my first like real full-length project.
And what, I guess, how did you come across this? Is this a love of history, or is it a social justice thing? How did you come to?
It's a combination.
I don't know if it's a story you grew up with, or
yeah. No, it's not really a story I grew up with, because like a lot of people, I know I never learned this stuff in school. But I think I started reading about it about 2006, 2007. And I was like, wow, this is a fascinating story, because I saw years ago, I think back in 96, 97, I saw Rosewood by John Singleton. And it was about the Rosewood Massacre down in Rosewood, Florida. And then I started reading about the Wilmington Massacre back in 2006. I was like, wow, this sounds like the same type of thing. And why haven't I heard about this? Why haven't a lot of people heard about this in North Carolina? So I just started doing my own research and started reading some books and, just doing some other independent research, and just decided that, hey, I think this will be a cool project, because I saw that no one really has done a project on it. You have people that have written books and maybe did a couple of short films or little student film projects on it, but no one's did an in-depth, full-length documentary. So I just kind of looked at it as a challenge as well. I wanted to challenge myself and push myself to see if I can actually do something like this. And also, I'm a history buff as well. Plus, also, I'm a social justice activist as well. So it was just a combination of all three of those things that really made me want to do this project.
It's always nice when you can take your passions and wrap them into one thing and just have them merge together. Yeah, I heard about the Wilmington the thing years ago, but I didn't really
And there he goes. I warned you that would happen.
Jeffrey's out.
Yep.
Hashtag TWC.
Go ahead.
I was saying that I had heard about 1898 in Wilmington, but I didn't know nearly the detail of it that you covered in your documentary. So that was really interesting to me. Like, I had no idea, like, that was what the New South could have become. And
yeah,
yeah,
it's real deep stuff, man. It's real interesting stuff. I know, when I first did my preliminary research, okay, I didn't know it went that far and really in depth on, I guess, how these people planned and orchestrated this whole thing. It was very, very organized and very, very detailed. I think that's what really caught me as I started researching and filming, historians and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was a plan going on there, and not like
that was institutional. It went all the way up to the state government and everything. This is freaking awful.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, one of the reasons I was interested in talking to you, I mean, obviously it's a fascinating subject and everything, and you did a great job on the documentary. Congratulations. I hope it's doing well out there at the screenings you're doing. But I was curious because we haven't really talked to anybody on the show before who's done a documentary on a topic that's way off in the past. A lot of people choose to do things that are current or maybe only a few years old, and so they're able to go out and get a lot of first-hand accounts, talk to people who were actually there and everything. You're covering something that happened, almost 120 years ago. Back then the Ottoman Empire was around, and the Chicago Cubs still had a couple World Series left in them. So what's it like trying to dig up information when you don't have first-hand sources, when you have to dig through records and everything to get all the stuff you need?
Well, it was very tough. It takes like a lot of planning and outlining, and also looking at other documentary films. Like I looked at and studied a lot of Ken Burns. 'Cause I know Ken Burns, he does a lot of those historical pieces like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to just watch a whole bunch of Ken Burns documentaries first, just to see how he does it, to make it interesting, because he does those period historical documentaries a lot as well. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see what Ken Burns does that works and not make it boring. But then I'm also looking at the boring stuff and say, okay, I'm not going to do that. So, and then also I looked at other documentaries pretty much and see how they structure their historical history documentary, style. So I said, okay, one thing you have to have people, you have to have charismatic speakers that's going to catch people's attention and grab them and bring them into the story and the history. So I was like, okay, I got to find people like that. Also, I wanted to have a couple of the actual direct descendants of some of the victims. Like we have Alex Manley's grandson and Thomas C. Miller, his great-granddaughter. So they have actual personal stories that were passed down to them. They have old letters from like some of their ancestors, or they heard stories from their parents and also, their grandparents. So we had like those kind of not really first-hand accounts, but stories that were actually passed down from their grandparents to their parents. So they were able to share those things, like certain letters or whatever like that. So it was just a combination of finding charismatic people who were good at talking on the camera, but also finding enough archival material that would, match the whole film. But some of the stuff we couldn't find. So I know when you guys looked at the film, you saw some illustrations. Mm-hmm. And so I had an illustrator to kind of illustrate certain scenes in the film that we couldn't find actual archival material for, and also wanted to give it like a little modernized feel to it as well. And also with the music that we used, throughout the film, I wanted to be a little modernized and, a little historic, but still throwing some hip hop elements in there, throughout to kind of give it a modern type feeling. So it's a history film, but I didn't want to bore people. So I really had to play around with a lot of different ideas and concepts to find the right groove. So it really was just studying and looking at a lot of other documentaries from like a lot of good documentary filmmakers, and then trying to implement things that worked for them and saw what didn't work for them, and then just try to incorporate it into my own style.
Okay, well, I'd say you nailed it.
Yeah, I thought the title sequence with the blend of like all the archival photos, but with the modern motion graphic kind of.
Yeah, my guy, I got this guy. He's a great motion graphics designer, man. His name's Christopher Salvador. He's a graduate of Savannah School of Design. Yeah, he's a graduate there, man.
Everybody who comes out of SCAD is awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. I met him like a few years ago, actually, because I do stuff like this, right? This is how I network. I was like on Vimeo. I go to Vimeo all the time and just look up people's stuff. And I saw him on Vimeo a few years ago. And I saw his student reel or something. I'm like, wow, this guy is good. He's a student. And I reached out to him and said, hey, man, I'm doing this project. Do you want to be the motion graphics designer on it? He said, oh, man, sure. He said, send me some stuff on it. So I sent him some footage. So it was about. He said, yeah, I want to be on. He said, I want to be on board. So that's how we just kind of connected. And he's out in L.A. right now. He's working with like a big motion graphics studio out in L.A. now. And so he's really doing his thing. He's very talented, man. He sent me that, and then we matched it with the music. I was like, wow. So, I told him what I wanted. I wanted something, to show the history with the archival photos, but still kind of make it like modern, in a way that matches the hip hop music that's going to be over it.
Right. No, I thought it looked terrific.
Yeah.
You also, as long as we're giving shout outs, you mentioned the illustrations you used. They come up mostly in the second half of the film when you couldn't find actual historical documents. And I thought that was a great touch. I think it looked really good, and it was a really interesting way of solving a problem you can't really overcome. You can't really fake photographs from 120 years ago. You want to give a shout out to whoever did those illustrations?
Oh yeah, the guy that does the illustrations. His name is Wally McNair. He's out of Charlotte, North Carolina. His name is Wally McNair. He owns his own illustration studio. It's called Rebel Arts Studios. And
okay.
He's a very talented guy out of Charlotte, man. Him and also the guy who does my posters and the guy who actually designed the Wilmington On Fire logo. His name is Marcus Kaiser, and they both work together. And I've known these guys for years, man. I know them about 10 years, and they do like art shows, art exhibitions all around the country as well. So these guys, like I said, I've known these guys for years, and when I told them about the project, they just wanted to get involved and be on board because they know me for years. We worked on several things together over the years, so they definitely wanted to get involved in some type of shape or form. So they just gave some great designs and great illustrations as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm curious when we were talking about some of the difficulties of putting together all the materials and finding out exactly what happened when you're talking about something this old. I'm also kind of curious when you're dealing something that's obviously not popular, a black mark on an area that a lot of people probably don't want to dredge up. Do you run into any resistance on that front, or is it far enough in the past that most people aren't too self-conscious about it?
Honestly, I really haven't ran into any resistance at all, man. And that's what shocked me. I haven't ran into it so far, but you never know what tomorrow holds. But so
Right.
far, nothing but just praises from everyone, regardless of race, age, because people of all races and ages come see the film wherever we show it. White, black, old, young. Everyone. Everyone enjoys the film. Everyone gets something out of it. But I've been getting pushback from for other things. It hasn't been for the film per se, but I've been getting pushback from from other people about some other type of things. I guess when you become successful, you know, people start to get jealous. You know what I'm saying? So those are the type of things that I've been getting pushback. It hasn't been anything to do with the film or the content of it, which I was very shocked by. But
did you work at all with the city of Wilmington? Did you have any cooperation with them? Are they helping to promote it? Like, and I guess that kind of goes into the last question. If you have had any interaction with the city of Wilmington, do they see it as like an important historical document, or do they see that as dredging up something they'd rather not bring to the forefront?
The city, they, I guess they really don't get involved with it like that. But I've had, when I say the city, I actually have, I guess, people of Wilmington have been really supportive. I know the Cuckolores Film Festival has really helped me out over the years, and Cuckolores is a real big film festival. I know you guys probably heard of it.
Oh yeah.
Down in Wilmington, it's real big. It's been around 21 years, and I was in there. Yeah. I was in their first work in progress program a couple of years ago, and we showed some bits and pieces of Wilmington on Fire then, and I could see the interest right off the gate, man, because we actually sold out the work in progress screening. It was just nothing but rough interview clips, and we sold it out. I was like, wow, I think I'm onto something, because I wasn't very confident, when I was putting this thing together. Like, man, no one cares about this project, but when I did that work in progress thing, and just the people that were packed in there just to see a couple of rough clips, man, I was like, okay, we're on to something. And then I premiered the film in November, this past November, at the Cuckolores Film Festival, and we broke the film festival's record for most attended screening ever, and it's history.
Congratulations,
and just been
man!
Rolling
That's awesome.
Ever since, man. And they named, yeah. Thanks, man. But
how long have you been working on this documentary?
How long?
It took me about 5 years. It took me about 5 years to shoot and edit everything. But that was because of money situations. Like, I pretty much had to use my own money to do everything, and I pretty much had to sacrifice for 4 years of using like unemployment money and savings and getting jobs here and there and putting everything I had into the project. I had to move back to Laurinburg, stay with my grandparents, so I can put all my money into the film. But that sacrifice and commitment paid off tremendously.
No, it did. The film is fantastic. I hope you're able, obviously you're very proud of it. I hope it was all worth it for you.
Yeah. It was, man. I wouldn't change it.
I was just going to say, a lot of passion projects like that, it demands a lot of sacrifice to see it all the way through. And it's, congratulations on making it to that finish line.
Yeah.
So I was asking, like, besides Cuckolores, where you have you screened the film? Where are you planning to screen the film in the future? I know you got April 29th with Raleigh Film Underground coming.
Yeah, we're gonna show. We're not showing the film. We're just gonna show like the preview trailer and like the opening title sequence thing for Raleigh Underground. Because she's doing like she's showing like some classic joints, and I'm gonna try to come to that too. It looks like I like what she's doing. It's real dope. And I know I got a couple of full screenings coming up though, this Thursday and Friday. We got this Thursday at Guilford College in Greensboro, North Carolina, 7:30 at the auditorium at Guilford College. And then this Friday, we have a film screening in Hamlet, North Carolina at the Cole Auditorium. And then April 23rd, I have a screening at Northwestern University for their social justice program. And I might have another screening coming up the 25th at University. So we're working on that right now, getting that deal in place. So I got a whole bunch of screenings lined up already in April, and we got a couple more coming up next month. I'm going to try to get back in Raleigh to do a full screen, probably maybe the first or second week in May. I'm looking at a couple of venues. I haven't really just locked it down yet, so I'm always just trying to book venues, man, and just continue to tour, continue the movement for the film.
Right. Well, that's half the problem. Once you get the actual film made, is trying to figure out how to get it out there, especially if it sounds like you don't have a big marketing budget. Are you getting a lot of help from other people, like maybe people who are involved in the project? You said there was a lot of support in Wilmington. Or a lot of those people kind of helping, like grassroots style, get the word out?
Yeah, I got a couple people help me out, man. One of the guys who's in the film, you probably saw him, Kent Chatfield. He actually tours a lot with me. He helps me do a lot of the groundwork, you know, in regards to promotional stuff. But it's pretty much just been most of the stuff on my own, man. I'm pretty much self-funding the tour myself, meaning that the money I make off of screenings goes right back into the next venue.
Okay.
So I just keep just turning the money over to rent more venues and for travel costs and promotional materials like that, just to get the word out and spread it out until we're ready to release the film. So it's pretty much just all me, man. I pretty much took the model that I saw a lot of hip hop artists in indie rock of touring and certain things they do with social media. And I'm always looking for different ways to promote my film stuff, and I get a lot of ideas from indie rock bands, and a lot of hip hop artists.
Right. Well, I mean that as they say, necessity is the mother of invention, and a lot of these guys, not having any money, they got to get creative in the marketing. So that's a great place to look to get ideas.
And it's different tricks, man. Like I got the idea of, like, a lot of artists, they'll do this, right? They kind of work around radio advertising. What you can do is just hit the radio station up and say, hey, do you guys mind giving out free tickets for this event I got coming up? And a lot of times, some might not do it because some might be hip to it. They say, nah, that's just like free advertising. But a lot of people, they don't think about it, but they'll just give out the tickets and promote the film for you. So it's free advertising right there. You're giving away some free tickets, in return, they're actually advertising it and pumping it up for you as well. So those are little things that I'll do to kind of promote the film, that's cheap. It doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
So those are just some of the tricks I saw, like, certain hip hop artists and rock guys, do, that I try to implement.
I like that. That's a good hustle. That's a pro tip for you folks out there. So what are some other lessons? Because you were really in the trenches with this one for, like you said, almost 5 years. What are some things you learned? What's some advice you would give to other people who I guess wanted to make a historical or social justice type documentary?
Well, I would say first, write out your thoughts on notebook paper or type it out however you write. Write out what you want to do. Create a very detailed outline. And just look at films. Look at films that are kind of, I guess, in the same vein or interest as the film you're trying to do. Like, if you're trying to do a historical documentary, you got to watch Ken Burns. You got to watch all these guys. Just watch as many documentaries as you can possible and study them. See what works. See their structure. See how they combine, the standard interview style or verite or graphics, animation, the music choices they use, all those things. And really just try to study documentaries. And, that's what I do all the time. I'm always looking at documentary films and stuff like that, because I plan on doing a couple more, actually. So I'm still, looking at a couple more documentaries, just to good ideas, man, and get those creative juices flowing. So I really think, man, people should just really study documentaries and look at them and just see what they're all about, to see if, you can kind of bring that same type of style element to your film, and just plan and plan and just build a good team as well. Find you a good team of people, a cinematographer, an editor, and sound guy. Just try to build you a good team of people who believe in the film and whatever the film is about. You know what I'm saying? You just got to find people who believe in you and the project as well. So people just do all those things, and also putting your own money into the project. You have to believe in yourself, and I think when you believe in yourself, other people believe in you. I didn't know how I was going to finish the film. I say about last January, and someone reached out to me, right? Because I was tapped out of money, man. I didn't know I was going to finish post-production, and I got an email from someone's business partner that plays in the NBA. And he said, hey, I've been following your film for about 2 years. I was wondering if I could buy a DVD. And I was like, yo, man, the DVD's not out. It's not finished. And he said, hey, well, we'll be interested in helping you finish the film. And I was like, man, I know this dude that plays in the NBA isn't reaching out to me that wants to help me. And this is too good to be true. But we talked on the phone. We met in person, and we just made it happen, man. But see, that's what it shows you, that you have to believe in yourself. You have to put your own money in there, and put yourself out there, and then somebody's eventually gonna see that and invest in you and believe in you. Because I'm a prime example of it, man. Somebody in the NBA gave me a shot and helped me out, and it's turned out great.
That's fantastic. But it's totally right. If you are not willing to invest in yourself, why the hell should anybody else?
Yeah.
No, that's great. Speaking of assembling a great crew, you talked about the guy who did your title sequence and the guy who did the illustrations. Give some shout outs to the rest of your crew, because it was, technically it was a fantastic looking and sounding film.
Yeah, well, the guy who edited this film, his name is Don Stafford. He's out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. The guy who did the coloring, he's from Charlotte as well. He's a great guy. Who else? Matthew Head from Atlanta, Georgia. He did the original score. Sean Washington, he pretty much produced the whole promotional soundtrack for me. He's out of Charlotte, music producer out of Charlotte. Who else? Dante Lee, he's a great cinematographer. He's in LA right now doing his thing, shooting a whole bunch of, music videos and for a lot of top musicians and everything. So he's doing his thing just like the motion graphics guy. They're both out in LA, man. And also this guy named Jesse Kell, he was like the second DP. He's in Wilmington. He's a up and coming film guy as well. And also a shout out to my executive producer, Pete Chapman. That's another thing people should do as well. When I first did this project, you want to get you a mentor, somebody who's been there and done it. And I reached out to someone who I was a fan of, and his name is Pete Chapman. He's a filmmaker from New York. He I think his first feature actually had Zoe Saldana, Hill Harper, and a few other people, Dorian Missick, and I think it was called Premium. And I had his movie. I had that movie, and he did a documentary about the 761st Black Tank Battalion during World War II. And he also has a short film on HBO right now called Black Card.
Okay.
I had all his movies, and I reached out to him. I was like, I wonder if this guy is going to hit me back. So I was like, I got all his movies. I'm looking for like an executive producer to kind of just shadow, kind of godfather me in a way. Just give me the ins and outs, and if I have any questions or concerns, that somebody can reach out to. So I emailed him, and he hit me back. And we just kept emailing back and forth, and, we made it happen. He wanted to be an executive producer for my project. He liked what I was doing, and we just made it happen like that, man. So.
Nice. Never hurts to ask, huh? Yeah. So do you, what was there something you were going to say, Conrad?
I'm just saying that was awesome,
Yeah, no, it's a great story. I'm really glad to hear that all that has worked out for you, Chris. That's fantastic. Go ahead and tell everybody at home, where they can find out more about this. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you have the promotional soundtrack available on SoundCloud, and we'll include a link for that. Started playing on me. We'll include a link for that in the show notes, but people can go and check that out and download it if they want. But where else can people find out more about the film?
Well, you can go on to the website, WilmingtonOnFire.com, WilmingtonOnFire.com. We just got the splash page up right now for people who want to sign up for email updates. We're going to launch the full site in about a week and a half. But, you can sign up for email updates at WilmingtonOnFire.com. Check us out at Facebook.com/WilmingtonOnFire, on Twitter at Wilmington1898, and on Instagram.com/WilmingtonOnFire.
Okay. Now, are you a big social media guy, or did you have to learn that stuff for this project?
I was always a big social media guy, but it was just to play around, So when I started doing, this project especially, I was like, what, I really need to take advantage of this social media stuff that's out here. And now I'm just a social media junkie, man. I'm always on it promoting or doing something. But I kind of used social media at first back when Facebook was just for people in college, because that's when I started using it when I was in college. And now it's just totally for everyone now. So instead of just playing around with it, I'm using it to really further, my film and other projects that I'm involved in.
Awesome. No, that's great to hear. We'll have to get some more social media tips from you in the future. So what are some of your
I'm thinking about, man, I was thinking about actually I was thinking about actually writing some type of book or something just about my whole experience.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the kind of stuff we're here for. We're here to hear what your experience was and what you can share with other people to help them out along the way. So, yeah, by all means, anything you can do to help get the word out there and help other people is great to hear. We're glad to hear that you're happy to share that knowledge and not being too protective of it. So, aside from going out and promoting this film, what are some upcoming projects you're looking at moving on to next?
All right, yeah, well, outside of doing this tour, currently getting together the sequel to Wilmington on Fire. We're going to do Wilmington on Fire 2. That's going to probably be the end of Wilmington on Fire, because there's still a lot more to the story that we didn't talk about. And we're going to put that all in the second one to kind of close it out. And also, I'm working on, I'll be announcing in a few weeks another documentary that I'm about to start doing. It's on a famous martial art. He should be famous because he's fought a lot of people, like Chuck Norris and a lot of these guys over the years back in the day. I'm going to do an actual documentary on his life and martial arts career, and I'll be making that announcement like real soon after we get some stuff finalized. And I'm also in negotiation to purchase the rights to this crazy, artsy, vampire-esque type film, and that I've always wanted to do. So those are pretty much the three projects that are kind of like in development right now.
Very cool. That all sounds really awesome, and it's a real variety of stuff too. So it's good to see you branching out.
Hey, we got a live question from the Triangle Film Community group. John Demers wants to know, when doing historical research, how important is it to have a solid...
What is that?
We got a question. When doing historical research, how important is it to have a solid visual to go with the narrative?
Solid visual to go with the narrative. It's very important. It's very important because people just don't want to hear you talk. They want to see something on screen as well. So it's very important and that's the thing what I had to do with this film was that certain things that we talk about in the film, there wasn't any archival stuff to back it up, even though it actually happened. You just couldn't find the stuff for it. Either people, lost photos or lost documents to where we just couldn't get the rights for them. So you have to find some type of visual to put in the place of it, whether it's some type of B-roll footage or animation sequence, or an illustration like we did. So you really want to try to use a combination of a lot of those things. A lot of the important things that you put in your documentary, you want to make sure you have some visuals to kind of back it up, because people like to see, it's one thing just to hear someone talk, but when you have the proof, the evidence to back it up, whether it's a picture or some documents, with certain things on it that you're talking about, it makes people believe it even more. So the visual is very important.
Right. And people don't want to just look at talking heads the whole time.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah, exactly. It's just like you're going to a lecture or something. So,
Right. Well, thank you, John, for sending in the question. We're taking questions now. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of people chiming in, Nicole Jones wanted to tell me to stop bashing the Cubs. So you always got to watch out for those Cubs fans in the audience. They will call you out for ragging on their team.
Oh yeah.
So, but not for long, because this is their year, right? This is their year.
Yeah, it's always their year.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, thank you, Chris, for taking the time to chat with us. I'm really sorry we had all these technical issues that made it so difficult.
Yeah, it's all right.
But I'm hoping to get a chance. Yeah, well, I'm hoping you get some screenings going on here in Raleigh. I'll definitely try to hit those up.
Oh,
and
yeah,
of
we're
course,
working on it.
if you send us links or anything or any announcements, we're happy to help spread the word and try to get butts and seats.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And inside tip, feel free to submit the film to FilmSpark this year.
That's right. FilmSpark.
Definitely. Yep. When is it? Yeah, send me the info. Yeah, send me the info.
September. We'll send you a link to it and everything. But you can, go ahead and plug it, Conrad.
September 15th through 18th. We're on Film Freeway right now.
All right.
Just search for FilmSpark, one word.
Yeah, we'd love to. We'd love a chance to maybe screen that movie there. So definitely submit it, and we'll see what we can do.
All
I
right, cool.
shouldn't say
Sounds
we'll
good.
see what we can do because the judges have to judge it first. I don't want to make it sound
Yeah,
like just slide us a little money
yeah,
under the table and it's all good. But
I have to twist the thumb
yeah.
screws a little bit.
Yeah, I understand.
Right. Well, thank you, man. It's been
Cool.
really great chatting with you. It's always great to meet new people who are making films around here and, just hitting up different topics. And thank you for sharing all the knowledge you learned in the process. I think, it was really insightful. I didn't know that trick about giving away tickets to radio stations. I'm
Yeah,
going to
usually
try
it's
that.
it's a good trick, man. It works every time. See, some radio stations are kind of hip to it because they
Yeah.
say, "Oh, hold on, that's like free advertising." But majority of them, man, they're cool. As long as you just like say, "Hey, I'm doing a film screening. I got an event coming up. Would you guys mind giving those some free tickets over there?" And you just give them like a little blurb to say to pump it up for you, and that's free advertising right there. But like I
Right.
said, I'm working on a book, man, with some of these tricks that I use. You know what I'm saying? So
Very cool. Keep us posted on that. I definitely want to read it.
Definitely.
yeah,
Well, thank
I
you
got you.
again, Director Christopher Everett, for talking to us about your documentary feature, Wilmington on Fire. People definitely go and check out the website, which you should be able to find in the show notes, and follow them on
Yeah.
social media. Keep up on when the upcoming screenings are. Of course, thank you to my my co-host,
Hey,
Conrad Arnold of Triangle Film Community. I'm Bob Walters. You can find me at Paradise Bob on Twitter. And Local Film Talk, follow us on Twitter at Local Film Talk. Check out the YouTube channel, the Local Film Talk YouTube channel. If you don't have time to sit down and watch it, you can listen to the podcast, which is just the Local Film Talk podcast on iTunes. And if you have questions, comments, or concerns, or want to ask our guests some questions, localfilmtalk@gmail.com is always open. So thank you guys. Thank you, Chris, for being on the show. Thank you, everybody, for watching at home. And we'll see you all next week. Take care.